No, that's all right. That's all right. Got another joiner, sir? You want to take a seat? If you want. But there's a few seats over here.
Yeah.
All right, well, good afternoon or evening, everyone. My name is Ryan Dolber. I am the Communications and Network Administrator for the college. It is a single position for all 8 sites. I'm also the Designated Security Administrator for the college as well. My job currently encompasses all telecommunications, networking, servers, virtualization, of course voice over IP and communications, information security, basically anything. If it's a router, firewall, web filter, switch, server, I touch it, I run it, I do have a handful of people that work under me that work in more of an assistive capacity, but it's kind of a 2 to 3 man show. Feel free to come in and have a seat. There's a few seats over here in the corner. Have at it.
Did everybody sign this?
No, everybody signed this. So, I was asked to kind of give a rundown of not only what I do, but kind of how I got to where I'm at. And actually, I started where a lot of you are currently sitting right now. I actually started about 10 years ago as a Chattahoochee student. You can come on in and sit down. There's another seat over here in the corner, and over there as well. I actually started as a Chattahoochee student. I did go through the networking program. I did leave here with an associate's degree, and actually came back to get a second degree as well. Also, this one was information security assurance, and this was a long time ago, back when Chris Caro was here, and a few others. So there's been a lot of face changes, in the meantime. But overall, the program is still, the same, and I still believe it's still the same level of quality, if not better, because we've only grown since then, and we've only learned more. So I do have a lot of faith in the program, and it was what catapulted me into what I am doing now. Now, since my days at Chattahoochee, I did go on to do my bachelor's degree. I actually did that through DeVry because we had a fantastic agreement with them. I did my years here, and then about a year and half a semester with DeVry and did my bachelor's degree. So it was very accelerated, very fast. However, because it's DeVry, very pricey. I also went on to do my master's degree. My master's degree is in information systems management with a focus on information security assurance. And shortly after I finished that, I was able to get placed into this position, or promoted into. So one of the things we're going to be doing today is, after I cover a few aspects of our data center, we're actually going to be going for a tour of the data center. And this is a functioning environment. This is all functioning equipment. It is all being used right now as we speak. People are hitting these servers all day long, firewalls being whacked all day long. So as we go through later on, I'll probably reiterate, please don't touch anything, because it is a full working environment. Do you have any questions so far? Okay. All right, so I drew this up last night. It's kind of a basic rundown of how our network works. Okay, every single campus has a similar setup, minus the whole firewall, web filter, and internet. That's still something that we still pipe out just at the Marietta campus. So every campus, though, does have a core. Every campus has a wireless controller. They do have fiber optics that connect to other buildings, and also servers that may be at those locations, which we do have servers at every single location. Most locations have at least one server, and that serves with Hyper-V on it, which is a virtual machine hypervisor. On that, we have at least 2 VMs, 1 domain controller for each domain we have. One being Chattahoochee, which is our staff and faculty side, the other being the students, which is our student side. Also at every campus is a fiber optic connection back to our layer 2 inter-campus WAN, which I'll show you on the next page, and we'll probably be bouncing back and forth, which is actually a layer 2 mesh. Now, this layer 2 mesh is hosted through Comcast, as well as our internet connection as well. We do have dedicated fiber for all of this. So right now, intercampus to a couple of the sites, we actually have a full gig pipe. To some of our smaller sites, such as Austell, we just have a 100 meg pipe. But it is layer 2 full mesh, so any campus can speak to any campus, and then still to get out for the internet, we still come back here. Questions so far?
So everything gets through the internet by coming through Chattanooga, through Marietta?
Yes, that's correct. It's just some basic routing statements. And actually all the uplinks are just trunks. Because it's layer 2, we can just trunk it and they all just see each other. It's actually kind of slick. Previously we were on more of a hub and spoke, which is kind of old school and speaking network methodologies, but before everything would come back to, and this is with our old provider Zayo, everything would actually come back here, even to go to other sites. It wasn't actually a mesh. So let's say you're at Canton and you wanted to talk to Paulding. Before, you had to go back up to Marietta and then you get to Paulding. So there was, I guess, a delay or an expectation that there would be latency or lag. So when you're pushing out images from one site and all you have is a 1 gig uplink on that, you have 8 or 7 other sites hitting you, can see how very quickly you become oversubscribed. And yes, it did lead to a lot of problems, which is why we moved off of that about a year and a half, 2 years ago now. But this has provided a lot of stability. So moving back up, the way the routes actually work for internet access, we do actually go through a web filter. I'm sure a lot of you have probably noticed it. If you're trying to do some proxy avoidance or what have you, it'll actually pop up and say, hey, you're not supposed to do that. And then it goes through our firewall and then goes out. Questions?
No, I didn't have a question.
Okay, you kind of like stood out there and I was thinking, you might be saying something. That's all right. The way our campus is, and I'm sorry I'm bouncing around so much, I've been locking through my brain. The way the other buildings on campus come back to us is actually through our layer 3 switch, which is the campus core. It's not exactly a core router, it's just a layer 3 switch. A lot of routers are more purpose-built, not exactly, I wouldn't say they're very good for managing a campus network, just because, to me, they're more meant to be a gateway, if you will. At least like a lot of your 4500Xs and stuff are just not meant to handle this.
So we're basically using layer 3?
Yeah, that's
not
correct.
right.
That's correct. In fact, we don't even have any actual routers. Anytime we need any routing capacity whatsoever, we usually just pick up a switch and give it a layer 3 upgrade. Like, we'll just do IP services on it. So that is typically, when you get a switch and just throw IP services on it, it's even cheaper than going with an actual router anyways. And you get a lot more bang for your buck because you get more ports out of it.
And those are all Cisco, right, Brian?
That's correct. Everything here is Cisco. So we are a fully Cisco branded campus. We tote the Cisco flag everywhere we go, and
Is that like an industry standard or anything like that, not having routers?
I don't know that that's an industry standard, but in the case of managing a campus network as in our case, a school network, that has been, I would say, more successful than actually using designated routers. Now, you may actually do better in, say, a small office environment with designated routers, and a layer 3 switch may not be what you're looking for, because there are other things that you will get out of a designated router than, say, a layer 3 switch. Some layer 3 switches probably wouldn't do BGP here, okay? So if you have, say, an outside router that is supposed to be in a BGP peer group with another site, a layer 3 switch probably wouldn't be able to do that unless you had a newer model. So for stuff like that, I still say there's definitely a purpose for it, but in our case, as far as the internal network goes, this just makes more sense. So from our layer 3 switch, we do have layer 2 edge switches, which we can actually hit this closet across the hallway here. Hopefully it's not too dirty or too cramped, but we can peek in. We do have layer 2 edge switches in each building, and in this case, each floor. So we do have all of our distribution for the infrastructure coming out of each building, as opposed to a big, 9-foot pipe with a bunch of Cat 6 going across the building, or across the street. Just wouldn't be feasible. Questions so far? Or do I have lunch right now?
I got a quick question.
Yeah.
Are you also responsible for like getting the desktop and everything in classrooms or libraries?
We actually have other people that take care of, like, you're talking like deployments, or are you saying patches?
No, just like the workstations here.
We actually have technicians. So I don't go through and touch every single PC. In fact, I rarely go out and touch classrooms these days, just because I serve more of a specific function instead of like end user support or desktop support. We actually do have a team of, I want to say we're up to about 20 people now. We've just hired a new web administrator. We've got 7 or 8 technicians split up between the 8 sites. And right now it's 7 sites because one of the sites is being renovated. Woodstock campus. It'll hopefully be open by, I think, this summer. That's kind of the estimated timetable. So for those of you who live in Woodstock and are looking for classes to open up there, probably late summer or fall is the estimated time for that to be back online.
Right, you oversee the servers as well, right?
That's correct.
And we're running Active Directory.
Yes, we are.
So when that was designed, was that done in-house, or did you guys farm it out to a
In-house.
third party? In-house. Where is it?
Yeah, and actually that was, back in 2009 we went through a merger, so that was an opportunity for us to go through and redo all of our Active Directory. So you had 3 different Active Directories before, because you had 3 different domains, right? So when we moved over to this domain, not only did we change domain names, but we actually brought up new domain controllers. So we went through every single campus, every single machine, unjoined them from their own respective legacy domains, and joined them to the new one.
How many domain controllers are there, do you know?
Right now, 15.
15.
Right.
And there's at least 1 per campus.
Yes, there's, between the 2 domains, we have a total of 15 controllers. The reason for the odd number is I actually have 1 extra here for the Chattahoochee domain, and that serves as a failover capacity, and also kind of a test box for whatever I want with it. But all of our domain controllers, with the exception of the PDC emulator token holders, basically are PDCs, even though you don't really call them PDCs anymore. Those are here, those are actually iron boxes, everything else is virtual. So we actually do have a high amount of virtual machines just because budgetary confines. So what we'll do is we'll buy a few high-end systems and throw a bunch of VMs on it, and that's how we make everything stretch. It looks like we have a lot going on, but when you walk through, we probably only have, I don't know, maybe 45 to 50 actual servers in the data center.
Can you give us an idea as to what those physical machines, how they, what they consist of?
Yeah, actually, as we're walking through, I can even point out every single function for every single server.
Okay.
So that might be something that when we get down there, I can just walk
Yeah.
through. Now, when we actually get into the data center, it is loud. We do have hot and cold aisles, and I'll walk you through it all. But it may get difficult to hear, so just, I guess, keep it close.
Sure.
And I'll try to talk as loud as possible. I'm okay with going home hoarse.
Yeah, there's like 6 fans blowing in there.
Yeah, we do have in-rack cooling.
Yeah.
And a generator, and
So
batteries.
it's a lot cooler than here.
Yeah. It'll feel a lot nicer for a little bit, and then if you're standing in front of an AC, it gets kind of chilly. So I guess if no one else has any other questions, we could probably go ahead and wander across the street. But we'll make a quick detour here across the way, and I'll show you the wiring closet.